You're watching a Highwire Media podcast. This week on Cold Case Friday, our question of the week is who killed Kirsty Jones? That's right, we're diving into the British backpacker who was killed in Thailand. And without further ado, let's dive into this case. In May of 2000, 23-year-old Kirsty Sara Jones set off to embark on an adventure of a lifetime, a solo trip around the world. Leaving her home near Wales after having recently graduated from the University of Liverpool with an English and Media Studies degree, Kirsty had planned a 2-year global adventure taking in Asia, Australia, and New Zealand before finishing in South America. Like most backpackers, Kirsty had earned and saved just enough to fund her adventure by doing odd jobs. Once on the road, she sought the cheapest accommodation in order to stretch her finances as far as possible. 3 months into her travels, Kirsty traveled 435 miles north of Bangkok to the well-known trekking hub, Chiang Mai, going on jungle hikes, riding elephants, and visiting hill tribes. Chiang Mai, the largest city in the north of Thailand, is known for its Buddhist temples and relaxed lifestyle, which is popular with tourists from all corners of the world. While here, Kirsty checked in the Ari guesthouse, a £1 per night guesthouse off Moon Muang Road. Unknown to Kirsty, however, was that this particular guesthouse was one with a bad reputation and was not the best for a young girl to be staying in alone. The year prior, it had been closed down for 6 months after another backpacker had died of a heroin overdose in one of its rooms. The Ari guesthouse was one in which attracted travelers who were down on their luck and lacking their efficient funds to go elsewhere. Being young, naive, and in need of the lowest cost possible, Kirsty decided that this would be an adequate place for her while in the city. On the evening of August 9, 2000, Kirsty settled into her room on the ground floor of the guesthouse. At least 8 other people were in the guesthouse that night too, including the owner, a 33-year-old British man named Andrew Gill. Also there that night was Sirin Champernit, the guesthouse's Thai manager, who also run a massage school in the upstairs area of the Ari. Other residents staying that night were Stuart Crichton, a 28-year-old Australian, a man named only as Glenn, who was an ex-Mormon and self-professed former CIA spy, who went to Thailand to recover from head injuries suffered in a car accident. Then you have Nathan Foley, a 27-year-old who was on his way from Australia to visit England and relatives in Kent for the first time. And finally, Stephen Trigg, a 27-year-old bearded British backpacker who had been on the road for 4 years by the time he had arrived at the Ari. In total, there had been 6 foreigners and 2 Thai men in the building with Kirsty. Stephen, Stuart, and Glenn had been long-term residents of the guest house and had been residing there for the past few months. On Kirsty's first night staying at the guest house, she had dinner with Nathan Foley, the Australian man who was making his way to England to visit relatives. After this, Kirsty made her way alone to her room. Sometime in the early hours of August 10th, Stephen Trigg heard Kirsty shouting from her room, "Leave me alone, leave me alone, get off me, get off me." Alerting the guesthouse's manager Surin to the commotion, both Surin and Stephen went downstairs to investigate, but decided not to open Kirsty's door after concluding, wrongly, she had merely been involved in a lover's tiff. When other guests woke up the next morning, Kirsty was not heard from. She did not show herself at breakfast and had not made arrangements to check out. It wouldn't be until a maid entered the young woman's room and found a horrific scene that Kirsty's fate would become known. Kirsty was lying lifeless, face down, partially naked with a piece of cloth tightly wrapped around her neck. She had been raped and strangled to death. Police were called, but by the time they arrived at the murder scene, several people had already been inside the room, including an entire Thai television camera crew. News had already begun to spread throughout the community that a dead foreigner was laying in a room at the Ari. Soon enough, curious community members and journalists showed up to the guest house and let themselves into the room. Journalists began stepping around the room to get the best angle for photographs, potentially destroying the crime scene. The next day, several photos of Kirsty's body would appear in Thai publications. As the investigation into Kirsty's murder got underway, details into her death grew murkier and more suspicious. Detectives soon discovered that while the maid had first reported to have found Kirsty's body at around 4 p.m. that day, she later admitted that she had been lying, In fact, she said she had been lent upon to give a false statement. Police believed that it was in fact the hotel manager who had discovered the body 5 hours earlier. Either way, it is clear that some of the residents at the guest house secretly knew of Kirsty's death several hours before police were informed. What is not clear is why there was a delay in reporting her murder. The delay could merely have been the result of panic among staff at the guest house, who realized the gravity of this situation and the trouble they were in. Or it could have been part of a wider and darker conspiracy to try and cover up Kirsty's death and remove traces of evidence. Kirsty's body was taken away for examination, and it was here that police were able to identify semen on her body. This was collected, and police now had the likely DNA of her killer. By August 16th, Thai police had 8 suspects on its list for Kirsty's killer, but DNA tests failed to link any of them to the murder. The police were adamant that the killer had to have been a foreigner, as they claimed that no Thai national would be capable of carrying out such a vicious act. This was a pattern with the police in the country when they were under pressure to close a high-profile case. Police soon turned their focus to Andrew Gill, the guest house owner. Just 2 days after Kirsty's death, the British expat who had been living in Thailand for the past 12 years disappeared. Police eventually tracked him down to a local bar and arrested him. DNA was taken from Andrew, but just like the other guests staying at the RE, it was a negative match to the DNA found at the crime scene. Andrew tried to explain why he had gone missing after the murder, stating that it was because he did not want police to find out his visa was 2 years out of date. Andrew was later fined £33 for the expired visa and faced deportation. Despite this, police wanted to press ahead with charges against Andrew. Aram Chapin, the police commander of the Northern Thailand region, said that Andrew Gill was arrested on the basis of scientific tests and witness accounts, stating, quote, "We are confident we are on the right track. There is no mystery anymore." Andrew, who bought the hotel after selling his house, had become popular in the Chiang Mai area, especially with fellow British expats who were residing in the area. After his arrest, friends rallied around, taking food and water to the police station for him. 2 months later, police had no option to release Andrew after various witnesses had seen him drinking at local bars the night of Kirsty's murder, and the DNA found on Kirsty clearly was not his. There was simply no case against him. Next on the police's radar was a Burmese tour guide, 34-year-old Abraham. Abraham had escorted Kirsty and a group of 9 backpackers on a 3-day hill walking trip southwest of Chiang Mai and was among the last people to see her alive. Abraham claims that a few days after Kirsty's murder, he was abducted by police and taken to a private house. Once there, Abraham was reportedly beaten repeatedly and told to confess. Police also demanded that he provide a sperm sample, which he refused to do. Abraham would later tell a media crew that he was sexually assaulted by his interrogators in an attempt to get him to provide a sperm sample. It had been speculated that as the police came under intense pressure to close the case, they considered providing a scapegoat and had intentions of contaminating Kirsty's remains with his semen. This would ultimately link him to her rape and subsequent murder. Abraham's interrogators soon gave up after other Burmese tour guides staged a protest in the streets of Chiang Mai. These protests had caught the attention of foreign correspondents that had begun to arrive to report on Kirsty's death. Thai police had no choice but to free Abraham, who was put in a car and dumped on a Chiang Mai street. Later on, police would issue a full apology for his treatment. From this point on, the hunt for Kirsty's killer faded. Kirsty's body was returned to her hometown, and her funeral service took place on Friday, August 25th, 2000. Over the years, Kirsty's friends and family have kept pressure on both the UK and Thai police to find her killer. Welsh police also offered assistance by traveling to Thailand to meet with Thai investigators on the case. But unfortunately, year after year, no arrests have been made. In 2005, Kirsty's heartbroken mother, Sue, and brother Gareth traveled to Thailand to visit the last place where Kirsty had been seen alive. Her heartbroken mom, Sue, said previously, quote, "I am always optimistic. I've never actually thought they wouldn't catch anyone. It's a waiting game. It's been a long time, but we have the DNA, and that's where the answer lies." In 2006, the UK Prime Minister Tony Blair pressed the Thai Prime Minister to urge the authorities to look more closely at the case. Thai police were forced to admit that DNA tests proved the killer was a Thai national. In 2011, Welsh police investigated a tip about a man named on a YouTube video about a possible suspect in Kirsty's murder. In the video, entitled "Murder of Welsh Tourist Covered Up by Thai Police," an Australian man uploaded the video and said that police need to investigate a Thai professor at Chiang Mai University who was seen around the RE guesthouse at the time of the murder. The suspect was also named as the younger brother of the inspector of the tourist police. Welsh police passed the information to the Thai authorities and asked them to investigate. However, no response had ever been given. In August 2012, Welsh detectives met Thai officers for a second time to discuss the forensic evidence. Kirsty's mum, Sue, headed to Thailand again with officers to make an impassioned appeal for information. A £10,000 reward was offered for any information that led to an arrest. However, this did not manage to conjure up any new leads or suspects. Sadly, in August 2020, Thai police closed the case after the 20-year statute of limitations expired. Even if police somehow managed to identify the killer, he could never be charged with the crime. And before we close out this episode, we'd like to highlight our affiliate of the week, and that is ExpressVPN. In today's digital world, your online privacy is more important than ever. Whether you're working remotely, streaming your favorite shows, browsing the web, or, like our case today, traveling the world, your personal data is at risk. And that's where ExpressVPN comes in. ExpressVPN is the top-rated virtual private network trusted by millions worldwide. With lightning-fast speeds, military-grade encryption, and servers in 94 countries, you can browse safely and access content from anywhere in the world. Say goodbye to geo-restrictions and data throttling. With ExpressVPN, your online activity is completely private, even from your ISP. It's perfect for protecting sensitive information on public Wi-Fi, unblocking streaming services, and securing your devices with just one click. Plus, it's easy to use on all your devices, whether you're on your smartphone, laptop, or even your gaming console. Don't compromise your online safety. Visit ExpressVPN using the link in the description and get an exclusive deal for ExpressVPN. Enjoy the internet with peace of mind, secure, fast, and unlimited with ExpressVPN. Of course, if you want to support the channel in another way, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/TCNS. Your support helps the channel grow, upgrade our equipment, bring in new hosts, and hopefully pay them, and one day take this show on the road. As always, we'd love to be able to live stream episodes from both crime scenes across the US and even abroad. And your support can help make that happen. Even if it's just $1, $2, $5, $20, $50, $100. Your support truly does help make this channel even better. As always, thank you so much for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time.